volunteer as ambassador to the Diabetic UK Society, and he will tell us how we can empower our patients, and that's the main thing about it. So without spending much time, I will hand over to Dr. Thakur, how he is going to run the diabetic. Thank you.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've tried.
Sorry.
We've tried. I think it's being played from downstairs,
Right.
which we have no control on.
Right. Thank you.
And there's nobody there in the reception.
A good thing to feedback, actually. Thank you. So, as some of you have already met me, I'm Rahul Thakur, and it's really great to be here, finally. I've been dreaming about this opportunity and possibilities of working collectively with everybody here, and for a long time now, and Dr. Jha and Joanne will attest to that, I'm sure. There have been hours that have been put in balance to organize this event, so I thank everyone for that. Well, with the diabetes care that we have introduced recently in the practice, and we are hoping to extend that as well. We do send out letters, and we have handouts and everything. That's all fine, but nothing can beat face-to-face. That we are having it now, and we hope to have it again and again. Working like this has been a passion for me. It really has. Even in my school years, I remember, I tried to set up a group think session as a little one, around a one swing and 10 children people. So so years later now, in my master's degree in diabetes that I did from University of Warwick a few years ago, it focused on harnessing group energy and the collective group energy, and that is what I hope to do here and in the future. I have been inspired by the agencies that have got it right, and this is one of them. So I'm very glad to be here, and thank you for every one of you to be present. Dr. Jha, you've already said it, and I echo you, that I am mad about diabetes. Not about, but just about learning, but because as Dr. Jha said, we all learn from each other, we learn more, and because, I probably didn't know anything about diabetes even after I graduated from medical school. I learned a lot as my experience built on over the period of years. So today I'm just going to briefly talk about what we are here for. It's supposed to be an educational meeting and an introductory meeting as well. So I'm briefly going to talk about what is diabetes. A lot of you would actually know what diabetes is. A lot of us, we don't know, and how we are just given a diagnosis. Okay, you've got diabetes, and you've got to take these medication. But actually, to be involved in your own diabetes care, first we need to find out what actually is diabetes. One of the best places I've found a good explanation from is from Diabetes UK website. If you're not registered to Diabetes UK, I would definitely encourage you to do that as soon as possible. As patients, you can register, you can get a lot of advice, you have helpline, and I'm sure you will be told at the end of this session about that as well. So coming back to diabetes, what is diabetes? And this is where we don't have any PowerPoint projections today. So I'm going to just explain it to you in as simple terms as I can. What happens when we eat food? There is some carbohydrates, there are some sugars that go into our stomach. Now, in normal term, people think the whole of this area is a stomach. But in medical science, there's only a little bit here, just under the food pipe, that is called the stomach. Now this is like an elastic balloon. And what happens is when we eat food, some sugars, they get broken down in the stomach and they get dispersed and they start passing on further down. And as it goes down, it slowly gets absorbed in the blood. There is another little organ under the stomach, just under the stomach, called pancreas. Now the pancreas produces insulin. I'm sure every one of you have heard what insulin is. Now insulin, what happens is also produced when the food is eaten. So sugar and a bit of insulin, they both get absorbed in the bloodstream, and the bloodstream goes to the different parts of the body, to each and every cell, to enter into each and every cell so that the cells get glucose, which gives them energy. Now, what happens, there are two types of diabetes. One is a type 1 and the other one is type 2. A lot of us, I think 9 out of 10 people with diabetes are type 2 diabetes, but 10% of the whole population of diabetes are type 1. What is happening here is in type 1, the pancreas don't produce any insulin at all. For some unknown reason, we don't exactly know why. But sometimes the body is fighting the insulin producing cells in the pancreas, and therefore pancreas doesn't work and doesn't produce insulin. So what's happening is just the sugar is going into the bloodstream. Now, in normal process, what would happen, the sugar and insulin would go into the bloodstream and it will go into each and every cell of our body to provide energy. Now, in order to enter the cell, it's a kind of a lock and key phenomena. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, as I said, but I've got a lock and key here. Okay? Right, so this is very simple. What happens is, let's suppose this is the cell, a muscle cell. Now glucose needs to enter through this hole, but it is locked. What it needs is, it needs a key to open so that the sugar enters into this hole. Now this key is the insulin. So insulin needs to come, open the lock, the cell, and sugar can enter, and that can bring the energy. That will break down and will bring the energy. Am I making
That's better
sense?
that's better than the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you.
That's very clear.
Okay.
I've seen this a lot of times, but that
Is
was
it?
very good.
Okay, thank you. So what is happening now is, in type 1, this is missing, right? So it's not opening the cell. So you need insulin from outside in order to open so that the sugar can enter the cell to produce energy. What is happening in type 1 is, because the energy is not being produced, although there is a lot of sugar there in the blood, but there's no insulin, so sugar levels are high, but the insulin is not there, so the cell is not opening, the cell is lacking energy, it feels tired. So people with type 1, they generally feel tired when they present to a doctor. Same with type 2 as well. But I'll come to type 2 in a bit. Because a lot of sugar is there in the bloods, it has to come out through the kidneys, and with the sugar comes a lot of in the urine, and so with the sugar comes a lot of water as well. So you feel dehydrated, you feel thirsty, and maybe a lot. And because of high sugar concentration in the urine, there's also chance of more thrush, more bacterial infections. And that is why people with type 1 diabetes, when they present with that as well. Now the sugar is not getting any glucose because there's no insulin, but the cells need some sort of energy to survive. So when that happens, the cell is starving for energy, so what's it's going to break down is whatever it's got left in the cell, which is fats. So it starts breaking down fats. Now, as soon as the diagnosis is made, you give insulin, it starts working well. That's type 1 diabetes. In type 2, what's happening? The insulin is there. You're producing insulin, but it's not working. So what's happening is there's your insulin. It's coming down there. Okay, but I can't get it in. I think there is a lot of fats inside this hole. So it can't accept. Or maybe there's a magnetic repulsion or something of that sort. So it's not letting my key in. And in some people, the key is in, but it's not working. Maybe the key is distorted. So sometimes in type 2 diabetes, that's what happens. Is either the insulin is not working or it's not coming in. So the cells are not sensitized to take this insulin. And the same effect happens in type 2 as well, because there's no glucose entering the cells. So they're going to feel tired, they're going to feel the same sort of symptoms, lack of energy, lethargy, more urine, feeling thirsty, and as a result, weight loss, because there's a destruction of cells that can happen subsequently as well. Now, this is a very slow process. Type 2 is a very slow process. It's the commonest type of diabetes present, and it may take up to 10 years before people find out that they've got diabetes type 2. That is on an average. Am I right?
Yeah.
I think, yes. I think that's what approximate figure is. Now, there are a few things about diabetes. There are 3 complications. Just to wind this up, I'm going to say there are 3 main complications about diabetes that I would like to emphasize upon, which is why we say, come for a regular eye check, have a regular foot check, have a, what else do we have? Kidney function test, blood test, and all that. Now, there are 3 places in our body that insulin is not required to enter the cells. One is your eyes, one is your kidney, and one are the nerve cells. So what's happening is because insulin is not required, the sugar is entering. And it's because the sugar levels are high in the blood, it's entering the cells, and it's high syrupy blood, sugary syrupy blood, starts destroying it. So that can cause eye problem, that can cause kidney problems because kidney damages can occur as a result, and that can also cause nerve problems. So nerve problems usually start around the feet region, where the nerves of the feet starts getting destroyed. So you stop feeling the sensation. So you're likely, you're prone to injuries, you're prone to ulcers. So we tend to check your foot every year to make sure that that doesn't happen. That's why it's very important we keep an eye on that. That's why we say go to the eye to the eye specialist or optician to have a regular eye checkup, which is what we want to make sure. And again, with kidney, there is, if there is too much of sugar going through, then there will be damage in the filtration of the kidneys, the way it's filtered, and that will start filtering a lot of protein. So we measure protein when we ask, go and get a first urine sample in the morning, a fresh sample in the morning, and we check it once a year. That's to check for proteins. So these 3 are the important things. This was just an introduction about diabetes. There is so much to talk about, and we will discuss that in subsequent meetings. So I think I'll hand it back over to Dr. John.
Yeah. I have been told one thing, because up till now, if we can't manage the patient, we were sending the patient to the hospital. I'm not saying that I'm not going to send the patient to the hospital, but we are going to send less number, because he is going to deal with the insulin as well now.